Hello ladies, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Rabbi Lerner, and I teach at Midrash Moria Technological School of Jewish Thought. I thought I'd throw that in as my first official video presentation. In all seriousness, I would like to give over an idea that I heard on Hanukkah. And the idea is based on the Gemara on Daf Chaf Aleph Amud Beis, the famous page of Gemara that has all of our famous Hanukkah ideas. And everyone knows there's a famous machlokes between Beit Shammai and Beis Hillel in how do you mekayim the Mahadran Shita of lighting candles. So bottom line, we all know we pass like Beis Hillel. And what is the Shita of Beis Hillel? The Shita of Beis Hillel is that on the first day of Hanukkah, you light one candle. On the second day of Hanukkah, you light 2 candles. On the third day of Hanukkah, you light 3 candles. On the fourth day of Hanukkah, you light 4 candles, etc., etc. And we pass in that way. And Beis Shammai, though, says, no. I hold that on the first day of Hanukkah, in order to be Mekayim, in order to observe the Mahadran Shita, the Mahadran opinion, on the first day of Hanukkah, you light 8 candles. On the second day of Hanukkah, you light 7 candles. On the third day of Hanukkah, you light 6 candles. Till finally you get to the last day of Hanukkah, and you light 1 candle. So the question really is what are the reasonings behind Beit Shammai and Beis Hillel? The Gemara gives a few explanations, and one of the explanations the Gemara gives for Beis Hillel is a famous idea that you see very, very often in Shas, and the idea that the Gemara gives for Beis Hillel is Ma'alin b'kedusha ve'ein moridin b'kedusha. When it comes to things that are holy, you always want to go up, you always want to elevate yourself in things that are holy. Ma'alin b'kedusha, and you don't want to go down in kedusha. Ve'ein moridin b'kedusha, you don't want to go down. Therefore, Beis Hillel comes along and says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The first day 1, the second day 2, the seventh day 7, and the 8th day 8. So the question that I've always asked myself is, wow, Beis Shammai, that sounds like a really nice idea. Malin b'kedusha, ve'ein moridin b'kedusha. Beis Shammai, what's wrong with Beis Hillel's svara? Or maybe a question for Beis Shammai, not what's wrong with Beis Hillel's Shabbos, but why are you paskening 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Why are you going down? So I was wondering whether or not we could attribute this machlokes to this famous idea that we see in the school of Musar. In the school of Musar, there were 2 famous schools of thought. And one of the schools of thought was called Slobodka, a town in Lithuania, and the other one was called Navardik. And you had the Rebbe of Slobodka, the Alter of Slobodka, and you had the Alter of Navardik, both giants in their own right. So what was the difference between Slobodka Musar and Navardik Musar? So Slobodka Musar was very much a Musar based on the idea of elevating the man. You are Tzelem Elokim. You have to walk around with your creases creased properly in your shirt and make sure there's no dust. You're Tzelem Elokim. You're a great person. Look how great man is. And we can emulate a Kodesh Baruch Hu because we are Tzelem. We are made in the vision of God, in the image of God. And therefore, in the Slobodka Musar is a type of Musar to build a person up. And this way, when you build that person up, he'll be doing Avodas Hashem. That is the idea of Slobodka Musar, and maybe we can say that is Beis Hillel's idea. You are great. The first day you're worth 1. The second day you're worth 2. The third day you're getting greater and greater, 3. The 5th day, unbelievable. The 8th day you're on fire. That's number 8. Good, that's Slobodka. Navardik Musar, the famous idea, is something called Ich bin a Gornish. In Yiddish you would say that, I'm a nothing. You know, the famous joke was Navardik Musar. You know, the idea is that your person would come in, and Navardik Musar, the way it works, is that you want to tell a person, you know what, really in the big scheme of things, in this big wheel, you're just one cog in the wheel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so great, we're so small compared to the greater world, compared to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Navardik Musar is, make yourself smaller and smaller, and then recognize how great Hashem is, and then when you recognize how small you are, you know what that's going to do? It's going to motivate you to be a Ratzon, for your Ratzon to be an Avodas Hashem, because you recognize how great God is, when you recognize how small we as humans are. And that's the idea behind Navardik Musar. It's the famous joke that everyone knows. The guy goes into a base medrash, but to really be a Navardiker, you have to work on yourself. The guy goes into a base medrash, he's new to the Navardik school of thought, and he's walking around screaming out, Ich bin a Gornish, I'm a nothing. So 2 people turn around who've been in the yeshiva very long, and they say, who does this guy think he is? And he he's already saying it's a nothing. You can't be a nothing until you're in the yeshiva for a year or two to be a nothing. You have to work on not being a nothing. Says Beis Shammai, let's take a look at Hanukkah, and let's be somewhat realistic. Well, Beis Hillel is very nice and true that the first day you're number 1, the second day you're number 2, the 8th day you're number 8. Says Beis Shammai, I want to be more realistic than you, Beis Hillel. And says Beis Shammai, you know what? I want to tell you what happens to most people. Most people on the first day of Hanukkah, you light your 8 candles. You're on fire. Woo, I love Hanukkah. I can't wait for Hanukkah. I'm building it up. I'm building up Hanukkah. And then the second day of Hanukkah, woo, I love Hanukkah. I love Hanukkah. And you're saying your alanisim in your tefillah, and you're saying your alanisim in your benching, and you're having your latkes. And then the third day of Hanukkah, woo, I love Hanukkah. And the fourth day, woo, I love Hanukkah. The fifth day, woo, I love Hanukkah. My question I always ask people is, on that last day of Hanukkah, you've already lit candles the night before. You wake up, you said Hallel another time. Oh my gosh, a long davening again. And then all of a sudden you get the mincha, the last mincha of Hanukkah, the last al anisim you're going to be saying in your tefillah. You've already said it 8 days times 3 times. You've already said it your 24th time saying it, not including all the times you said in benching. So let's be realistic for a second. How do most people feel when they get to that last day of Hanukkah, that last mincha? Are they saying the al anisim on fire like you were saying in the first day? I remember somebody telling me on Pesach, the last day of Pesach, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't eat any more matzah, too much matzah. So I said to that person, how did you feel on that first day of Pesach? What do you mean? The first day of Pesach, we're getting ready for Seder, we're cleaning the house, we're setting our Pesach table. And that first day I ate so much matzah, I'm on fire. So I said, why is it that by the end of Pesach, you don't feel the same way you felt on the first day of Pesach? And they said, you know, Rabbi, you're right. Good, use that as a way to make yourself grow now in your avodas Hashem. Use this idea, says Beit Shammai, I want to be a little bit more realistic. Most people on the last day of Hanukkah already don't feel that same way they felt on that first day. That excitement, unfortunately, is gone. Says Beit Shammai, maybe if we light 87654-321, maybe if we let people know this is a natural tendency for people to feel, and we as Jews have to overcome the natural, and we as Jews have to be able to overcome the mundane, that's something I'm doing day in and day out, and still make it exciting each and every day. Says Beit Shammai, let's have Hanukkah candles reflect that of what happens to a person naturally, and let's see if we can be above that and still work on that excitement of Hanukkah. Sometimes you have to break a person down in order to recognize, in order to build that person up in terms of their emunas Hashem, and in terms of their hargashot, their feelings for Hashem. Now it's true, by the way, in the end, we don't always paskin like Beis Shammai, we paskin like Beis Hillel, and even over here we paskin like Beis Hillel. And with this, ladies, whether you're going like Beis Shammai, or whether we paskin, we go by Beis Hillel, we should all have a wonderful Hanukkah, where Mirz Hashem, on that last day of Hanukkah, on that 8th day of Hanukkah, when you're davening mincha, and you're going to be saying your al anisim for the last time, and there's 3 hours left of Hanukkah, Mirz Hashem, we should all be zochet to that feeling of saying the al anisim on the last day of Hanukkah, as we are in that first Marav of Hanukkah. And when we light candles the last day of Hanukkah, we should be zochet to have that same hargasha as we had on the first day. I will end up with one story. A guy that I teach just bought a pair of tefillin, and he said, Rabbi, give me a bracha. And I said, you know, it's the first time you bought yourself a beautiful pair of tefillin, you spent a lot of money, and all of a sudden you're feeling great that first time you put on that tefillin. I said, Mirz Hashem, in 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, and 30 years from now, the same feeling you have today when you put on your tefillin, it should be the same feeling you're going to have in 20 years from now as well. So too with us in Hanukkah, that last day should be just as exciting as that first day. Have a great Hanukkah.